Dialogue. Many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and worldwide on WADR.org. Welcome to Newslink, and here are the top stories. Senegalese President Sall reschedules presidential election to March 24, 2024 as National Assembly passes amnesty bill.
I think they are all at the same footing because this election started since last year. Despite the constraint imposed by the government not allowing the candidate to perform, to go and see the population, people were doing their own campaign.
Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso announced the creation of an anti-jihadist armed force. President Akufo-Addo unveils transformative economic projects to ignite Ghana's future at 67th Independence Day celebration.
We are finally coming to the end of decades of exporting raw bauxite from the country. We shall now refine bauxite.
And Sierra Leone's government deploys police to cemeteries in the capital following a growing trend of bone theft. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Here is a more edit with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining us and a warm welcome to our listeners in the Gambia, Liberia and Ghana. Let's begin in Senegal, where the scheduled date for the 2024 presidential election has been officially shifted to March 24, 2024, just 2.5 weeks away. This announcement came through a press statement released by the presidency on Wednesday, concluding a series of political tensions that ensued following the initial postponement of the election, originally slated for February 25. As Augustine Coley reports, the Constitutional Council initially opposed holding the election following the conclusion of President Sall's term.
The Senegalese Constitutional Council has determined that the election must take place before April 2, marking the expiration of Macky Sall's current mandate rather than the proposed date of June 2. This decision, made on Wednesday evening, rejects the latter date suggested during the recent national dialogue. Ibrahima Khan, an expert in regional governance, has evaluated the feasibility of the new election date and deems it possible.
The people who are participating in the election are the same. So they have the picture, they have the ballot are all ready. So they need to send the ballot to the different polling station. They need to determine who is going to do what during the election and make sure that the normal thing that is supposed to be done for the preparation of the election is done. And I don't think that will create a problem.
In addition to dismissing the June 2 date, the Constitutional Council has declined to reopen the list of 19 candidates it had previously validated, rejecting the outcomes of the dialogue, which was boycotted by a significant portion of the opposition. As speculation arises regarding which party, be it the ruling coalition or the opposition, may benefit from the new election date, Ibrahima Khan contends that both factions have equal opportunities.
They are all at the same footing because this election started since last year. Despite the constraint imposed by the government not allowing the candidate to perform, to go and see the population, people were doing their own campaign. They were organizing their own campaign. All of them are at the same footing. I don't think that it will be one candidate will be in a better position than any other.
According to the Senegalese constitution, the president is restricted from setting an election date beyond their term, depending on the jurisdiction. The council was tasked by the president to review the recommendations stemming from the dialogue conducted last week. Some election candidates have expressed their readiness to conduct a truncated campaign, deviating from the standard 20-day period in response to these developments.
Augustine Coley filed a report. Meanwhile, the Senegalese National Assembly on Wednesday adopted the amnesty bill relating to events occurring during political demonstrations between 2021 and 2024. The newly passed law grants amnesty for all acts that could be deemed criminal or punishable offences committed between February 1, 2021 and February 25, 2024, whether within Senegal or abroad and connected to demonstrations or political motivations. President Macky Sall, who initiated the bill, clarified that his decision aims to pacify the social atmosphere and fortify national unity. Ogebierika reports.
Following the debate, the adoption of the legislation received support from 94 parliamentarians, with 49 in opposition and 3 deputies abstaining. The yes vote within the majority was unanimous, showcasing cohesive support. Among the opposition MPs, there was a split, with the Tahawu coalition led by former Dakar Mayor Khalifa Sall voting against the legislation. In contrast, the PDS led by Karim Wade and opposition politician Usman Sonko's former pastaf voted in favor of the adoption. The law's enactment could potentially lead to the release of Usman Sonko and Basiru Jomaye Faye from prison, as suggested by Abbas Sall, an MP and member of the ex-pastaf.
I normally believe that he will be released. There is an amnesty law that concerns him. Normally, he will have to go out and campaign. At the same time as President Usman Sonko, his mentor, who will be accompanying him and campaigning with him.
In a related development, Aissata Tall Sall, the Minister of Justice, has declared the introduction of a compensation mechanism for individuals severely affected by the fatal political demonstrations that occurred in March 2021, June 2022, and last February.
Oguberika filed that report. Meanwhile, the Senegalese president also dissolved his government, appointing Sidiki Kaba, Minister of the Interior, to replace former Prime Minister Amadou Ba, who is also the presidential candidate of the ruling coalition Benobok Yaka, officially to free him to campaign. Now, the junta-led Niger, Burkina Faso and Mali have agreed to set up a joint force to tackle security threats across their territories. Niger's Armed Forces Chief Musa Salau Bamu said on Wednesday after a meeting with his counterparts. The decision is the latest sign of close alignment to emerge since the three neighbors in the sub-region, insurgency-turned Central Sahel region, severed military ties with long-standing allies, including France, and formed a cooperation pact known as the Alliance of Sahel State, AES. Tawfiq Abdul Nasser has the details.
In a televised statement, Barmu said the new task force would be operational as soon as possible to meet the security challenges. He did not give further details on the size or remit of the force. Violence in the region, fueled by the decade-long fight with terrorist groups linked to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, has worsened since the three countries' militaries seized power in a series of coups from 2020 to 2023. The contours and numbers of this force have not been specified. However, General Barmu assured that the trio are convinced that with the combined efforts, they will succeed in creating the conditions for shared security. He stressed that the three armies had managed to develop an operational concept which will make it possible to achieve the objectives in terms of defense and security in the immense territory of the three countries. Niger, Burkina and Mali, faced with recurring and deadly jihadist violence for years, civilian governments have been overthrown by successive military coups since 2020. Recall on February 24, the sub-regional bloc ECOWAS lifted the heavy sanction it had imposed on Niger to obtain the release of overthrown President Mohamed Bazoum and his reinstatement in office after having renounced doing so by force. The three regimes have indicated that their decision to withdraw from ECOWAS is irreversible.
Tawfiq Abdul Nasser reporting there.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Women and violent extremism was a theme of a sub-regional conference held in Mali's capital, Bamako, on Tuesday. Initiated by WADR, Mali, with funding from the U.S. Embassy in Bamako, the meeting was attended by several women from Burkina Faso and Niger. The aim was to get women more involved in the fight against violent extremism in the Sahel. Abdullah Hassan has more details in this report by WDL's Aliu Cham in Bamako.
The Central Sahel region has been gripped by a security crisis for several years, with women emerging as the primary victims facing numerous abuses, including rape. In response to this alarming situation, WADR Mali, a women's rights NGO, organized a sub-regional meeting to enhance women's involvement in countering violent extremism in the area. Leading this effort is Bintu Fune Samake, the executive director of WILDAF Mali.
The purpose of the ceremony is to share with our sisters the results of the evaluation of our program entitled Skills for Combating Violent Islamism, and to support them in developing initiatives for income-generating activities.
Funded by the U.S. Embassy in Bamako, the meet not only aimed to increase women's participation in the fight against violent extremism, but also sought to mitigate its impact on women in the region. Participants from Burkina Faso and Niger actively engaged in the event.
It's important today to share experiences by highlighting the participation of women in particular, because we know that it is really very useful in the process of combating violent extremism.
This gathering served as a platform to reinforce and diversify initiatives geared toward preventing violent extremism and terrorism. The focus was particularly on actively engaging women in the Sahel region, marking a significant step towards addressing the complex challenges posed by the crisis.
Abdullah and voice a report filed in by our Bamako correspondent Aliu Cham. Now, over 10,000 victims of former Chadian dictator and convicted war criminal Hissène Habré have begun receiving compensation. The payments amounting to $16.5 million, about 10 billion CFA francs, began on the 23rd of February, following a meeting between President Mohamed Idriss Déby Itno and the three Chadian victims associations. This reparation measure comes after Habré, who ruled Chad from 1982 to 1990, was sentenced to life imprisonment for crimes against humanity in 2016 by an African Union-backed court in Senegal and died there in August 2021. David Vincent completes the story.
More than 40,000 people are thought to have been murdered during his rule. According to reports, 10,700 victims, including prison survivors and families of those who were killed under Habré, will each receive 925,000 francs CFA. This represents less than 10% of what the court in Senegal and another court in Chad in 2015 had awarded the victims. The payment of 925,000 CFA are being made on a schedule to victims at 3 bank branches in the capital N'Djamena before moving to provincial branches. However, the Victims Association have noted many errors in the list of recipients. Recall, the appellate court in Dakar, which confirmed Habré's conviction in April 2017, awarded 82 billion francs CFA to Habré's victims. Out of said amount, 20 million francs CFA for each victim of rape and sexual slavery, 15 million francs CFA for each victim of torture and arbitrary detention, and 10 million francs CFA for the families of slain victims. In a separate trial in Chad, a court on March 25, 2015 convicted 20 Habré-era security agents on murder and torture charges and awarded 75 billion francs CFA in reparations to the victims, ordering the government to pay half and the convicted agents the other half. Habré's one-party rule from 1982 to 1990 was marked by widespread atrocities, including the targeting of certain ethnic groups. Political police files recovered by Human Rights Watch in 2001 revealed the names of 1,208 people who were killed or died in detention and 12,321 victims of human rights violations. Habré was deposed in 1990 by Idriss Déby Itno, the father of the current president, and fled to Senegal.
David Vincent filed that report. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has announced 2 projects he is confident will revolutionize the country's economic landscape. Speaking at the 67th Independence Day anniversary parade in Koforidua, President Addo outlined the significance of these initiatives in propelling Ghana towards a brighter future. The first project entails the selection of strategic partners by the Ghana Integrated Aluminium Development Corporation, GIADEC, to establish an alumina refinery and develop mines at Nyinahin Mpasaso. President Addo highlighted the Ada Songo Salt Project led by Electrochem Salt Mine Limited. From Accra, WDL's Nadede Tete report.
Delivering his speech at the 67th Independence Celebration in the Eastern Regional Capital, Kofredria, Nana Akufo-Addo underscored the importance of transitioning from raw bauxite exports to domestic refining, a move expected to stimulate industrialization and increase job opportunities across various sectors. The signing of agreements between GAIDEC and a local Ghanaian company, Rockshore International, as well as global industrial giant Miscellaneous SA, marks a significant milestone in Ghana's quest for self-sufficiency in the aluminum industry.
We are finally coming to the end of decades of exporting raw bauxite from the country. We shall now refine bauxite mined in Ghana to produce alumina that will feed the Valco smelter and the downstream aluminum industry, which is going to have a dramatic impact on Ghanaian industrialization.
In addition to the aluminum projects, President Akufo-Addo highlighted the Adansongo Salt Project led by Electrochem Salt Mine Limited. The Independence Day Parade showcased Ghana's vibrant cultural diversity, with 21 contingents representing various security agencies, 11 schools, and traditional groups all participating in the march. Under the theme, Our Democracy, Our Pride, the event emphasized the importance of democratic values and peace, particularly in the context of the upcoming elections. Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara, who was the special guest of honor, hailed the long-standing relationship between Ghana and Cote d'Ivoire. Excitement was palpable among residents of the Eastern region, some of whom arrived at the Kofredria Youth Resource Center at midnight for early access. Here are some students who took part in the March Pass speaking about the experience.
It was nice and we had a great time too.
We are so excited to be here.
Very excited. Seeing a president from other countries and our own president too, we feel good. No matter what is going on in the country, to love your country because aside other things, that is where your root is.
For WADR, Nadidi Titi, Accra.
You're listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio 94.9 FM Dakar and worldwide on WADR.org. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Senegalese President reschedules presidential election to March 24, 2024 as the National Assembly passes amnesty bill. Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso announced the creation of an anti-jihadist armed force. President Akufo-Addo unveils transformative economic projects to ignite Ghana's future at the 67th Independence Day celebration. And still ahead, Sierra Leone's government deploys police to cemeteries in the capital following a growing trend of bone theft. We do have a guest interview, the press review and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
We are streaming live on WADR.org, Facebook and YouTube. Now, authorities in Freetown, Sierra Leone's capital, are deploying armed police to protect cemeteries overnight after a spate of theft involving bone harvesting from corpses. According to Freetown Municipal Council official responsible for cemeteries, these thefts of human bones are allegedly stolen to produce kush, a drug which imitates the effects of cannabis and which has been wreaking havoc among young people for several years. There have been claims on social media that ground bones are used to produce kush, an ecstasy made from a mixture of chemicals, but its precise composition has not yet been scientifically documented. According to the municipal authorities, access to cemeteries is now prohibited from 7 p.m. every day, as well as all activity inside the graveyards. Armed police personnel will be stationed at cemeteries to punish those who disobey the order. The City Council asked residents living near the cemeteries to be on alert and to hand over suspects to the police. The Director General of the West African Health Organization, WAHO, has reaffirmed the institution's commitment to supporting the Gambia in its healthcare endeavors following a closed-door meeting with President Adama Barrow. WAHO is currently contributing significantly to the Gambia's health sector. WDL Sankule Jamkin Banjul has the details.
The Director General of WAHO, Dr. Asisi Melchior, met with President Barrow in a closed meeting yesterday where they discussed ongoing healthcare initiatives as strategies to bolster the Gambia's healthcare system. Dr. Melchior emphasized the WAHO's unwavering support and collaboration with the Gambia, particularly in the areas of disease prevention, healthcare infrastructure, and capacity building.
Et nous avons pris l'engagement devant le chef de l'État.
And we have committed ourselves in front of His Excellency, the President of the Republic, to continue to support the Gambia to have one of the best health systems in the West Africa region.
Dans la sous-région.
This reaffirmation of support comes at a crucial time as the Gambia strives to strengthen its healthcare sector amidst the ongoing global health crisis. Specific plans and initiatives were discussed during the meeting to enhance healthcare delivery in the Gambia. The Minister of Health, Dr. Lamin Samate, emphasizes the importance of the partnership between the Gambia and WAHO.
WAHO has been working with the Gambia government for a number of years and collaborated in a lot of areas, areas of surveillance, areas of capacity building, areas of health system strengthening by the supporting the development of the sectors, and also the provision of life-saving equipment, be it laboratory equipment or other clinical equipment. So WAHO has been there for us, and we've been partnering with them, engaging at various levels.
WAHO's pledge to support the Gambia underscores the importance of regional collaboration in advancing public health objectives and in ensuring the well-being of all West African citizens. For Newslink and West Africa Democracy Radio, I'm Senkula Jenko reporting from Banjul.
This is the newspaper review. Stay on top of the news. Get the most important stories with added insight and concise review.
This is the newspaper review.
Well, let's join Nadi today in Accra for the newspaper review.
Greetings and welcome to the newspaper review segment from Accra, Ghana's capital. Let's find out what the dailies are reporting. The Daily Graphic newspaper banner headline, Ghana Beacon of Hope. That's President Akufo-Addo says so at the 67th Independence Day anniversary. Also on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, Ghana paved way for Africa. That's according to President Alassane Ouattara. He was the special guest of honor at this year's Independence Day anniversary of Ghana. Still on the front page of the Daily Graphic newspaper, constitutionality of anti-gay bill challenged, and Malta president arrives for 3-day state visit. That's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. To the Chronicle newspaper now, it says here the controversial anti-gay bill, finance minister's argument shut down. Sheikh Karim Yao says yielding to external pressure makes nonsense of our independence. Also on the front page, Ghana is a welcoming destination for investors according to the Lands and Natural Resources Minister Samuel Jinapo. And then the final headline on the front page of the Chronicle newspaper, we don't love Ghana if we destroy our forests and rivers and the environment as a whole. That's according to President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Now to the Daily Guide newspaper. Front page, we've overcome economic challenges. According to the President, it was part of his address to mark Ghana's 67th Independence Day anniversary. Also on the front page, Western Togoland Prime Minister, others jailed 17 years. Other stories here, let's unite to build Ghana. That's according to the Vice President and flag bearer of the NPP, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And then Mahama and NDC boycott Independence Day celebration. And final headline here, Ouattara hails Akufo-Addo's leadership. Let me now take you to the Daily Searchlight newspaper. Banner headline, Ghana owes it a duty to Africa to shine. That's according to the president. It's still part of the Independence Day anniversary celebration speech he delivered. That's it for the Searchlight newspaper. To the business analysts, let's look forward to better times, Akufo-Addo assures Ghanaians. Well, so because yesterday was the Independence Day, most of the stories are centered around the president's speech. Also here, free SHS. We are removing financial barriers for education, according to President Akufo-Addo. And former President Mahama here and flag bearer of the NDC says Ghana must make progress with right leadership. And that'll be it for the newspaper review segment from Accra. It's back to you in the studio. I'm Nadidi Tete.
Many thanks, Nadide, for the newspaper review.
Politics, analyses on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
Well, let's take you back to a big story regarding the political development here in Senegal. Now, this afternoon, I guess Ibrahim Makana, governance expert, x-rays the latest decision by the government to hold the presidential election on March 24, while the parliament, on the other hand, gave a nod to the amnesty bill.
the administration was ready to organize the election by February 25th, so it should not be any problem for them to organize it 1 month later. I don't think that there is a big problem. It's just that now, with all these constraints, either they reduce the duration of the campaign, or they can organize the campaign, meaning that by next week the campaign will start.
So, looking at this development, what arrangement should the government prioritize?
Well, I think now for the government is just to get ready to send the material. The people who are participating in the election are the same. So they have the picture, they have the ballot are all ready. So they need to send the ballot to the different polling station. They need to determine who is going to do what during the election and make sure that the normal thing that is supposed to be done for the preparation of the election is done. And I don't think that will create a problem. Now, I foresee one small issue, which is now that the president was asked to organize the election by before his departure. So it may be difficult unless there is no legal action between the first and the second round, so that the following Sunday we will have the second round of the election if the second round exists. Otherwise, it will go beyond the mandate of Macky Sall, so meaning that you will have a president who will not be in place, Macky Sall will not be in place after April 2nd, and the Speaker of the Parliament will replace him, so which complicate the situation.
Ibrahim Khan is a governance expert. Here is Sankli Danko with Sport News.
Hello out there, a warm welcome and thank you for joining us. Reigning champions Manchester City cruised past Copenhagen to reach the Champions League quarter-finals following a 3-1 victory on Wednesday evening. The Premier League champions secured qualification after a 5-1 aggregate win. City registered a 2-0 away win in the first leg in Norway before completing the tie with a 3-1 win at home in Etihad. Goals from Manuel Kanji, Julian Alvarez and Erling Haaland were enough to secure qualification for the citizens. Meanwhile, Real Madrid reached the Champions League quarter-finals following a 1-1 draw against RB Leipzig to secure a 2-1 aggregate win in the last 16. Leipzig were made to pay for wasting a host of chances when Vinicius gave Madrid the lead after a Jude Bellingham's pass with 25 minutes left for a 2-0 aggregate lead. Captain William Orban equalized for Leipzig in the second half, but it was too little, too late for the German side. And Liverpool boss Jurgen Klopp reportedly says it's so good Mohamed Salah is back in his squad for the Europa League last 16 first leg at Sparta Prague on Thursday. Salah only returned to the first team setup recently after he suffered a hamstring injury while playing for Egypt at the Africa Cup of Nations in January. And that's it for sports. It's back to you.
And we've come to the end of this edition of Newslink from West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting from Dakar, Senegal. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Mustafa Sek and Maudaju for the technical assistance. Well, let's keep the conversation going on our social media platforms, X, formerly Twitter, Instagram at WADR News. Coming up at the bottom of the hour is a flagship environment program, Enviroscope with Abdullah Hassan. I am Imo Edet. Good afternoon.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0 and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County. For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM 104.7